Hello, and welcome to another newsletter from Construction Programs and Results. I'm Michael Stone, and I'll be sharing our newsletter with you. We've had a cold, icy week. Hopefully, the nasty weather is behind us and we can get on with the business to hand. If you live in a section of the country that gets this kind of weather a lot, our condolences. If some or all of your projects got behind during the last couple of weeks, it's time to go to each job and tell the customers where you are at and how you intend to get their jobs completed. Your customers are not mind readers. If you don't talk to them, being human, they will start imagining the worst. You don't need your customers looking for a reason to find fault with you or your people. Go see them, one-on-one. No phone calls, no emails, no excuses. Communicate. Bring them up to date, answer all their questions, and get your jobs back to normal as soon as you can. And speaking of production, let's take a look at this week's newsletter topic: structuring your construction company. Many contractors start out building jobs on their own, but it doesn't take long before they need help with production, i.e., getting the jobs built. Now, how should production be organized? A job superintendent, sometimes called a production manager, who manages multiple jobs and hires subcontractors to do their work. The job superintendent is either an employee or an owner of the company. This is how most of the smaller three-person companies operate. The three people are the job superintendent, a salesperson, and an office manager. Often the owner serves as both the superintendent and the salesperson. As the company grows, they hire an employee to take over sales and production. With more growth, they'll bring on more job superintendents or more salespeople. A job superintendent can normally handle 7 to 10 jobs under $25,000 each at a time, depending on the size and complexity of the job. I worked for a remodeling company once that expected their production managers to run at least 10 to 12 jobs at any one time, and they did. And that was before mobile phones made it easier. Lead carpenters, sometimes called job managers, and these are employees of the company who are wholly responsible for one job at a time. They report to the owner and are hands-on with the project, often with either other employees, subcontractors, or both working for them. Job superintendents with lead carpenters, and the lead carpenter, also called a job manager, lead or foreperson, reports to the job superintendent, and in a large company you might have several job superintendents with 5 to 10 lead carpenters reporting to each one. So how do you get the work done on time and on budget? I worked with a contractor once who had 2 crews in the field, and he was paying both of his lead men, job superintendents, a salary well above the average for the area. But the work wasn't getting done. Imagine that. In my opinion, job superintendents should have their pay tied directly to production. That means before a contract is signed, the job superintendent or lead carpenter reviews and approves the job estimate and the time frame for the project. That will improve the quality of your estimate and helps you set realistic time schedules before the contract for the job is signed. If you pay them 8% of the sales price to run each job, every time a check comes in from that job, they get their percentage. That keeps the jobs on schedule because progress payments on a job are normally tied to benchmarks in the project, and if they haven't reached a benchmark requiring a progress payment, they won't get paid either. If progress payments are being made on a weekly or bi-weekly schedule, match their pay to the production percentage. That way, if the job isn't on schedule, they don't get paid until the job catches up. If they're any good at their work, that will only happen once. You need to encourage independence. Another problem I often hear is having employees or superintendents or lead person constantly ask questions about the job. Now, if you've held an in-depth pre-job conference, and there's a link below, and at the end you have asked if they have any questions and they said no, They have the job. They should be good to go. If they come back later continually asking you questions, it might be time for a talk. I'm paying you to think and solve problems. Do it. If I must do your thinking for you, then I'm going to charge you for my time. Does that sound harsh? Yes, it does. But it'll stop the questions, and more importantly, it will free up your time, as much as 8 hours a week. Henry Ford said, thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably the reason why so few engage in it. Every time they ask a question that they could have figured out on their own, they've wasted your time. Now, when they solve the problem on their own, they might not solve it the way you would have. You must be flexible and let them do things their way. As long as the job is done satisfactorily and the owner is happy, it doesn't have to be your way. That's part of letting go and letting them do their job. In our next newsletter, we'll talk about finding employees. Until then, thank you for watching, and may the profits be with you.